A small PPT to give a brief on SAE, FISITA and a snapshot of the FISITA conference. So it took 16 and at the same time it took us 68 years for the conference to host a global level, a world congress. So we have 4 sections and 8 divisions. The 4 sections are a success. First time in India. And thank you, Dr. Arvind. Thank you. Ready? Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
This is the most famous image of India in last time.
We had a debate whether to put Mahabali.
So we see that because our roads are so chaotic that no driverless vehicle can work on this. But then computer is very disciplined. So perhaps it will be a good combination. Connected is possible even today, but at a cost. And can we do it in an affordable manner? So that's the disruptive part of it. Affordable I've talked about. Sustainable. Sustainable that happens from our vehicles. Unfortunately, no matter how much we try, vehicles do emit pollutants, though we keep trying petrol or CNG. And what do we need to do with clean vehicles like electric vehicles, hybrid vehicles, and how do we again make it affordable using disruptive tech for this conference. The other part in terms of sustainability will be in terms of materials that are used. Can the materials be recycled? Because more and more it's becoming a problem to conservation. What do we need to do to make our vehicles consume less about FISITA coming to India? And if I was to compare this to sports world, it's like getting Olympics to come to India. For automotive technology, there cannot be a bigger show than FISITA Congress. India clearly has moved and made a great progress in automotive industry. As a producer, as a consumer, as a market size, kind of vehicles, kind of technologies that are coming into our vehicles. And in a short period of 15 years, we have moved from being somewhere around 13, 14 in the world to about 5th, 6th in the world. And that, by any standard, is a huge progress. But if I was to compare the progress that we have in terms of number of vehicles that are being sold and the kind of technologies that are coming into our vehicles to what is the technology impression of India, we still haven't made as much progress as we should have in these 10, 15 years. Yes, undoubtedly there is a lot of R&D development work is happening here, not just by Indian companies, but also by MNCs. There are many technology centers that have been opened in India, a lot of R&D work happening, but nothing compared to the kind of work that happens in many countries like Korea, Western Europe, US, Japan, and now even in China. And what SAE is all about is how to bring technology in the forefront when we're talking about automotive industry. I became a member of SAE International at the age of 25. That means I've been a member for, my goodness, 37 years. When I was in US, and when I came here to India, there's an opportunity to bring SAE International to India as SAE India. And we have been very successful in how SAE India has been able to bring together the technical community in automotive industry. But yet in India, the technological conferences that we see, there are only 2 alternate year. One year we have the CIAT conference that is organized by ARAI, and the alternate year is the SAE India Mobility Conference that is organized, which are the major technical conferences in the automotive industry. And this time we were very, very fortunate. We consider ourselves honored that FISITA decided that India should host the FISITA conference for 2018. Now I know that the way we work in India, to talk about something that's going to happen in October 2018 is like millions of years away, and why are we talking about that in March 2017? But from FISITA standard, we are behind. We should be much ahead of where we are today. So we thought that today we will have our first media interaction. Disruptive technologies for affordable and sustainable mobility. As Bala talked about, that we expect to have the largest ever gathering of technical people in the automotive industry, engineers in the automotive industry. That perhaps will be the highest ever collection in any field of so many foreign delegates coming for a conference. But the theme that we have selected very carefully to have three keywords: disruptive, affordable, and sustainable. And all three of these keywords are very relevant in the current context. Affordable, clearly, in context of India, more so than some of the other places where FISITA conference is held, where we need to make sure that our mobility can be accessed by common person and not be only accessible to people who are upper middle class or rich. And therefore, everything that we do in terms of product development, in terms of technology that we bring into our products, the focus on affordability always is there, and we want to see through this Congress what kind of new technologies are emerging, which will make our vehicles more and more affordable. But more affordable does not mean a compromised vehicle. And that's where the disruptive technologies come in. India would resources. So these are the kind of things that we want to talk about in this conference and bring it all to showcasing what India is doing. And this gives an opportunity to appeal to all the people in India who are working on these technologies to come out and talk about it and showcase this technology globally to everyone. And second is to see what's happening globally by bringing 500 delegates to India. Hopefully 1/3 of the papers that get presented here would be from outside delegates. And then see whether there is a cross deployment of ideas that happen, which will go into our vehicles and products. Now, when I was younger, I don't know, we used to look forward to SAE conferences because that was the only source for us to know where the technology is headed. Today, of course, things have changed. There is internet, all kinds of things that you can access online, and therefore perhaps people may think that I don't need to go to a conference to learn. But if you do go to a conference, you'll realize that being there and seeing people who are working on things like this, listening to papers, interacting with the authors is very different than getting onto your computer and reading a dry paper and falling asleep after about. I was making a statement that India has not just arrived in terms of number of vehicles we make and sell, also arriving in terms of technology importance of India. And that's a very important distinction because I have always believed that Make in India is incomplete without technology from India. And that's what we're trying to do of bringing technology into India. In fact, a lot of questions were being asked before. A very important thing for us to do. And I'm personally very excited that we have it. It's going to take a lot of hard work from this team that's sitting here. Since I'm patron just means come to a press conference, talk for 10 minutes and my job is done. The rest of it is done. Several factors. One of the factors is the one that you said, because it clearly is easier for SAE India to organize this conference from Chennai because the whole staff of SAE India is here. But more importantly, perhaps the convention facilities in Chennai we find to be very good. In fact, we have done most of our SAE mobility conferences here in Chennai, and the convention center is world class, and there is a significant amount of sufficient hotel rooms available, and add to that sightseeing possibilities for delegates, because people coming from outside India would definitely want to do some sightseeing. Mahabalipuram, he mentioned, it's a good destination for these people to go to. And affordability is a very important factor because Chennai still remains reasonably affordable compared to other metro cities in India. So when Ashok Leyland, Ford, Honda, so a lot of OEM technical facilities are in Chennai or vicinity. When you look at suppliers, Chennai is the largest base for what one would consider a full service supplier, with the TVS group being here and many other full service suppliers who bring in technology and do technology development. Test centers, test tracks are here. Many suppliers their test track. A large NATRIP test track is coming up in Chennai and Oragadam. So if you add it all up, Chennai does become a technology base or one of the 2 or 3 technology base for automotive industry in India. So see, perception and reality, I would talk about both. The reality is little better than perception in terms of where we are ranked in automotive technology, but even reality is not where it should be. So for a company, for a country that is making 4.5 million vehicles, I would want to see a lot more new technology coming out of India. So the Indian vehicles are not very far from the top technology getting into the vehicle. But these technologies are not developed in India. Whether it's developed by MNC or by Indian company doesn't matter. But these technologies are not yet developed in India, and we still more or less, by and large, rely on technologies that are developed outside India to bring into our products here. Though we do product development, but not technology development. But having said that, a lot of work is happening right now at the ground level. Not all of it is seeing application in the vehicle. In fact, I was at IIT Madras this morning and I saw some of the work that's happening there in terms of what is relevant to automotive technology, in sensors, in connectivity, in all of these areas. A fair amount of research work is happening, and I think Indian industry, both at the OEM level and at the supplier level, can perhaps do a little more than what we're doing today for technology development in India. And I hope that the conferences like FISITA will bring that to bear and visible, make it visible, and we would do more. And we still are lacking in terms of overall expertise for doing this kind of technology development. There are people, but not enough number. And the ecosystem or infrastructure that is required to do such things. And if I was to compare to a country like Korea, and if you're doing technology development there, the ecosystem is much stronger to do it there than in India. It's happening here at a slow pace, but I think the pace has to quicken for us to truly become an automotive country. Because to me, as I said earlier, automotive country is not to make 4.5 million vehicles, but to also have 4,500 patents that develop technology that go into this 4.5 million vehicles. Now, in fact, just 4 or 5 days ago, I was presenting some data from Mahindra, and I cannot talk about rest of the industry in this case because this is information that perhaps is confidential for most companies, though we are aware, but confidential information, so we cannot talk about it. In the year 2002, we spent about 1% of our revenue on R&D. In the year 2016, we spent 4.5% of our revenue on R&D. And given that in that time frame, our revenue has gone up 10x, that means our R&D spend has gone up 30x from 2002 to 2016. Okay? You are right in the sense that since our revenue is not as large as some of the companies that you talk about, the absolute number will still be very small. But that's a fact that we cannot run away with. But 4.5% spend on R&D, I think will keep us pretty much in the thick of what other companies, there may be 1 or 2 exceptions, I don't know. But overall, if you were to look at global R&D spend average, it won't be higher than 4.5%. So the percentage we are doing quite well. As absolute term will depend on when we become $100 billion company, then of course 4.5% will mean $4.5 billion. Right now we cannot afford that kind of thing. But more and more, for any automotive company to remain in the running, it is not a choice to spend that kind of money in R&D. You have to. If you don't spend that kind of money in R&D, you will never remain at the front line in terms of what kind of products you're able to launch, what kind of technology you're able to put, because Indian consumer by no means is looking for second-rate technology in their products. At least 90-95% of what Europe or US or Japan or Korea may give, and for that you have to spend this kind of money. So I think you will see that everyone doing it, and even MNCs now are doing more and more R&D spend in India and not just bringing in vehicles from outside India. That gets us into a philosophical discussion of what is per unit cost of innovation in India versus per unit cost of innovation in Germany or somewhere else, right? And we would like to think that with our frugal mindset that we are so well known for all over the world, we are able to do more with less, even in terms of innovation, technology development, and R&D. So I don't want to put a number, but 100 crore spent perhaps in India by an Indian company may be worth 100 times some number than somewhere else. And also you're right that to be realistic, we have to say that we cannot do what would be basic research. Because basic research requires billions of dollars of investment. For example, if we take electric vehicle batteries, there is no way a Mahindra and Mahindra, even though we are the only company in India doing electric vehicles, can spend in battery research. Battery is something that we have to take off the shelf. What we do with the battery is what we will invest in, but not in the battery itself, because we don't have the scale, the kind of R&D that is required to improve upon the research available outside India. And why? I mean, frankly, why? When somebody else is spending so much money in R&D, why should we leverage it and try and see what we can do with what has been done by somebody else? So I don't think we need to say that we must do basic fundamental R&D in everything, but we should not just simply license technology off the shelf and say I'm putting it in my vehicle. We have to develop technology, something from ground up, where India can have a distinct advantage over technology that is available outside. So something from ground up, something taking what is available and making it better and more suited for Indian conditions. And that's where the research is. So I think the 4.5% spend on our revenue base is a significant amount of money.